Hello Internet, I am InsaneLayne, and today my first thoughts on Westworld Season 1, Episode 1. Now, this is a new show for me, I haven't seen it before. I'd heard about it, I'd heard very good things about it, and it was definitely something that I was planning to watch eventually, but I didn't really have any big motivation to watch it, like right now, until recently I joined Twitter to try and promote this new channel. I don't know if that's going well or not, but it's a thing I did. And when you're on Twitter, you get spammed with a lot of crap, I've learned. But sometimes it's useful crap, and I learned that Anthony Hopkins is in this show, and I love Anthony Hopkins. I have had a crush on him since I was like 13 and I saw Hannibal. Yeah, I know, it's an R-rated movie, but you know how every town has that one theater that doesn't check your ID for the R-rated movie? Well, I lived very close to that theater, and they had $2 matinee Tuesdays. I liked it there. The whole opening sequence is very cool. It's very odd. The girl is naked in the middle of this dark, creepy kind of room, and yet she's just completely like flat affect. Someone is asking her questions, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then we go back into, I guess, her day. She wakes up in the old West world, which looks so awesome. The costuming and everything, it looks really good. The hair, the makeup, it's great. And I love, sci-fi western shows. I'm a huge Firefly fan. Anyone who knows me knows that. And so this definitely has shades of Firefly. More so when we see the train arrive and the handsome stranger. Later learned his name is Teddy, walking around, and for a brief second I had to cry that it wasn't Mal, because I'm like, oh, Mal. It looks so much like him, too. And so he walks around till he spots Belle, as I was originally calling her, because she's in head-to-toe blue, and she seems to be the only one wearing blue, like Belle in Beauty and the Beast. I wonder if that was intentional, or it just kind of worked out that way. Because I was looking for other blue outfits throughout the episode, and I didn't see any. So that tells you she's something special. She's different somehow. Where else have we got? So her and Handsome Stranger seem to know each other. They ride off on the horses together. They're having a nice time. Until, of course, it all goes wrong. We learn her name is Dolores. And, where are we? Oh, yeah. As they're riding home, bad guys have appeared and killed her father and mother. And, of course, Handsome Stranger rides in to the rescue, and I think he guns them down. But, of course, her parents are already dead. And then we get the ultimate bad guy. Now, the narrator, before we see him, the narrator drops the other shoe. He says, this isn't real. This is like a theme park for rich people to act out fantasies. She isn't real. She's some kind of, I'm not sure if in the episode we find out what are they actually called, or I just missed it. In my head I was calling them bots, because Cyborg is to Star Trek, and they're not, Cyborg. As far as I know, as far as I can tell, they are not mechanical. They seem to be, some kind of, synthetic organic material. We see different creatures being built a number of times. They do have a skeletal structure. We see the muscle fibers being, almost 3D printed. Realistically, a very advanced form of 3D printing, and given that they are actually experimenting currently with being able to 3D print organs, no joke, look it up, this seems to be taking that to its kind of grandest possibility of 3D printing fake people. And the frame that they're on and everything, it's very 3D printer-esque. So there's that. And then we have back to the park, where the main, well, I'm going to call him the main bad guy for now, shows up. And we know that he's the penultimate bad guy for two reasons. One, he is wearing a black hat. Only the main bad guy can wear the black hat. And the fact that he is wearing head-to-toe black in addition to the black hat says, hi, I'll be your main antagonist for this series. That and the fact that he's a very well-known actor who's obviously not just going to be a guest star. So he takes some time to be a dick, tells us that he's been coming here for 30 years. 30 years comes up several times. That she doesn't remember him. like always. And Handsome Stranger, turns out, isn't real either. I thought that he was up to this point because we see him arrive on the train with the other guests slash newcomers. We hear people say how expensive this place is, so, better be worth it. Um, but, he says some very vile things. He toys with the handsome stranger. He goes through, like, all the bad guy tropes, basically, before dragging poor Dolores off to the barn to rape her and presumably murder her. Let's see, what else do we have? We learned there's new programming called Reveries. Now, instantly this got my attention because it seems counterintuitive. Apparently, it's designed... This is something that the head guy, Ford, we're only told at first, has put in. He added it without the programmer's knowledge. And what it's designed to do is make the bots remember, well, have memories or remember their past lives, I guess. Though unintentionally, it seems. And that this would cause them to have little gestures, little tics like we all do when you remember things. Or, some people play with their hair, chew their fingernails, things like that. Instantly this catches my attention because I'm like, didn't you explain that they don't have memories? I'm not sure if they explained it at this point, but obviously you figure it out that if these things are killed and brought back repeatedly, they must be erasing their memories. So why would you ever program them to do anything based on memory? Like instantly right there, that was not so great. Then we have, they do say, yes, I am reading my notes. They do say that, yes, they are erased at the end of every cycle. So the idea of programming them to do anything based on remembering anything seems designed to break their programming. The Dollhouse vibes are off the charts. This show is very much if you mixed Firefly and Dollhouse and added just a dash of Dark Angel, especially in the next scene where they learn that something is malfunctioning and they have to go to the creepy sub-basement. Like, if we needed any more proof that this place is, like, creepy, it's like, oh my god. And I love that when we pull back from Westworld, well, I assume that's Westworld for the first time, we zoom out into the Hunger Games control room. You can't tell me you didn't think it. Okay, you can put as much lacquered red on the walls as you want, but that is the Hunger Games control room, and you know it. And then we get into the more Dark Angel vibe as we see guys in, like, black uniforms, and they're all Ramboing up with the guns, because they gotta go down into the sub-basement, because something is wrong. Why is it always a sub-basement? And why is it just a vast, dark, creepy room where there are, I guess, deactivated bots standing around? So, couldn't have them, like, stored neatly or in packing crates. No, they just have to stand there like weird mannequins that might kill you at any moment, because that's just creepy enough. And then finally, we get to see Anthony Hopkins, and he's talking to this old-timey westerny guy, who we learn is one of the first bots. That's, they were kind of unreliable. They broke down a lot, they didn't work so good, so most of them have been destroyed or deactivated. Oh, and I love that when he puts the western guy, like, away, the guy zips himself into a body bag. Like, why do you have to be that creepy? Like, that's what I mean. Those are the things that are unnecessary. Why would you do that? I don't even know. Like, I don't know. Some things in this show are, like, I like a lot of it, but some of it is so in-your-face stylized, and just seems there to really add a creepy moment. It doesn't really make any sense if you think about it. Like, it doesn't even pass, like, the initial viability test. So very odd. Then the day starts over again. She wakes up in bed, she puts on the blue dress, everything's normal, she talks to her father. This time they have, kind of a touching father-daughter moment where he, says, be careful out there, there's bandits in these hills. I love that the music replay is the same as well, but this time little things are different. There's different newcomers. There's the guy in purple with his wife, and I especially love the group of Asian people in the bar. They just totally look like a bunch of college kids on spring break. So it's good. And at this point, we learned some other things. We're back with the show's very back and forth. So back to Ford, who's like, oh no, wait, I'm not reading about Ford. No, I'm Black Hat Guy. Sorry, I need to make better notes. Black Hat Guy appears in town and he goes up and talks to Dolores and basically says to her, I'll be busy tonight. I don't have time to rape you. Which, like, does he really, is that what he does literally every night for 30 years? Like, what is going on? Um, he's something for sure. Um, and again, we learned two things. Because when they were going down to check out the malfunctioning bot, they mentioned the last time there was a critical fail in the park was 30 years ago. And again, he said 30 years. So at this point, I'm thinking a lot of things. Did the critical fail happen to him? Is he somehow stuck in the park? Is he a malfunctioning bot that had the critical fail? That doesn't, I don't know, that doesn't seem too likely. He seems to be a real person. He seems to have awareness of the real world. He remembers events day to day. He seems to be acting independently. He knows that the bots are not real. So, but is he living in the park? Can you do that? Is he just like really rich, so he just like pays to be there all the time? But why? And so is he somehow stuck or trapped in the park is what I'm thinking at this point. We get to see Dolores painting. She has like freaky good skills. There are family friendly parts of the park. We see a little boy feeding some horses. She warns the family, you better head back before it's dark. There's bandits. Then back in the real world, overworked boss girl is out for a smoke, and we get whiny British tech guy. I will learn people's names as the show goes on. He thinks they're going too far with the little touches to make the bots seem human. That they're going too far out of the uncanny valley, and that's going to get uncomfortable. So he wants to like scroll it back so that the bots are like less lifelike and more acceptable to humans, and it doesn't get like creepy when you shoot one, and that women don't get jealous when their husbands fuck them, because that's a thing. Like this place. And he also mentions that Ford is chasing some personal demons, which seems obvious from just everything that we've seen. We haven't even seen that much of him, but it seems so obvious. And then we get, secret management, meaning, of course, they're up to something evil. Then Black Hat is killing a different guy this time. He's picking on, like, an Indian guy. He just, like, slashes his throat. Seriously, does this guy just spend every night killing in this park? Like, he seems to. Then the bandit guys, it's their turn to malfunction now, because the one guy goes on, like, this crazy killing spree and just, like, starts killing all the bots and the thing with the milk, and he's just fucked up. But the good thing about these fake people is they have built-in off switches. I think they can be turned off either with, like, somebody pushing a button, or they have a command code, as we'll hear later. And also that this guy that's going around killing people, when he drinks the milk, it comes out of a bullet hole, which, for one, nice effect. Two, he's been shot, meaning he should think that he is dead and stand down, and yet he doesn't. To the shock of no one, we figure out that the bots are malfunctioning because of the new update, because of what Ford did, the part that he added. And the thing is, though, it seems so obvious to me that he did this intentionally, and yet everyone around him is treating it like, oh, it's a mistake, he's getting old kind of thing, and we can reprogram it, it's fine, we can fix it. But he goes into a bit of a speech about how humans have evolved, we've cured all the diseases, we can keep people alive for a really long time, only thing we can't do is raise the dead, and he basically says that, like, humans have evolved as far as they can, which makes me think that maybe he's pulling an Oriax and Crake, that he would be Crake, that he's trying to make the bots either self-aware, yeah, I guess self-aware would be the word, sentient in a way, or independent, and basically to make them new life and see them, I guess, evolve. So, not really sure where he's going with that, but he's up to a lot of things. I'm sure he's got like layers upon layers upon layers. And, oh, excuse me. Where are we? Um, yeah, then we go back to Black Hat, and he didn't actually kill the Indian guy. He's just torturing him. And he's talking about like hidden places and deeper levels to the park, which we're told they are. The park is three different things basically. It's one thing to the guests, it's another thing to the control room people, and then it's another thing to the mysterious management. Ooh. But they have a problem because they have 200 bots that have been reprogrammed, and they got to get them out. This is a problem because the different bots are in different storylines, and if you pull that many at once, the guests are going to get, kind of pissed off that their stories don't work, and the stories will start malfunctioning because people will be missing from them. So they got to figure out what to do. Back to Dolores for a minute. Her father has found a photograph from the real world, and it's making him malfunction. But is he? Because looking at the photo and staring at it all night, he seems to have worked it out. That they aren't real. That this isn't the real world. At least on some level. Maybe not full realization, but enough to know that something is wrong. And he seems to be remembering what's happened to Dolores before, because he warns her to get out. Also, they keep showing these two prostitutes. The one in the green, I recognize her from like many different things. I can't remember her name. I really gotta look that up. But I know they're going to be like more important than they're initially seeming, because they just keep getting shown, and they're always watching in town, and they always see everything. So I think they're gonna be around for a minute, at least I hope. But then we see how they're going to get rid of these 200 bots. They're going to basically orchestrate a bloodbath. So they have a bunch of bandits who are very well armed ride into town, and it's the guy from the Wanted poster that we've seen a couple of times. British guy has moved up his storyline, basically. And he's very proud of himself that I wrote this great speech for him, too. Boss, you'll see. I love the slowed down music. I did a double take, because at first I'm like, oh, I know that song. And I'm like, no, that's not the same song. But it is. I recognize it from, of all things, the premiere episode of Nip Tuck. I don't remember what it's called. I think it's called Painted Black. But in Nip Tuck, it's a very fast-paced version, and it has lyrics. In this version, they've slowed it down. They've taken out the lyrics, and it's got a slightly different, not a different melody. It's just being played on different instruments, I think. And it's shockingly effective. It's beautiful and subtle, and it works so well. But really, you gotta go listen to the Nip Tuck version. Listen to the Westworld version, then listen to the Nip Tuck version, and believe me, I think you'll be very shocked at the actual lyrics to that. But it's awesome. Excellent choice, whoever did the music. Let's see, then we have, Wanted guy. Oh yeah, okay. So, the Wanted guy is basically just going around shooting everybody so they can be pulled from the park without, like, messing up the story. But because the sheriff bot malfunctioned the day before, 2 of the guests have returned to town instead of being out on the camping trails. So guy in purple and his wife step in and blow away the bad guys. Which puts a bit of a crimp in their plans. And mostly British guy is just like, oh, I wrote that awesome speech and no one's ever going to get to hear it. And I love that the boss lady's like sarcastic at him, because it's so great. Dolores is there, her handsome stranger, Teddy has been shot, he's dying, and Tech Girl that we saw earlier kissing the prostitute bot, thank you for that, Westworld, thank you very much. She's still in the street, because she's like, what do? I can't just leave him here, but my father is sick, and Tech Girl just gives a command and turns her off, which is oh so Serenity. God, the dollhouse vibes and the Firefly vibes, it's all over. It's all over the show. But they've got their recall now. They've got the 200 bots out. The park is still functioning. The guests are happy for now. And they can fix it. We'll just take out the update, we'll take out the reveries, and the bots should go back to their basic programming that they had before, and everything is fine. Here's where I have to ask a few things before getting to the end. I'm sorry that I'm sniffing. I'm like so stuffy. When the bots are in the control center and they're sitting on those stools being questioned or whatever, why are they naked? I need an explanation. They're clearly wearing real clothes that they can take on and off, so the clothes are real. Why are they naked? Like, they would have to strip them down to have them sitting there naked. And just why? Just why? They're already wearing clothes. Most of them will go back into the exact same roles that they were in. So, just why? You know, I'm not saying I mind all the time, but I really need a reason for this. You can't just throw a ton of gratuitous nudity without explaining it. Well, at least not for me. The mystery picture gets bagged up. We don't know how it got there. It was buried, sort of, which makes me think it was left intentionally. And then we get Ford talking to Dolores' dad bot, which is a very interesting and very creepy scene. It goes on for a long time, and Ford obviously knows how to access all the different drives, and he accesses the previous version of the dad, remembering Dolores being taken and raped, and that he's trying to warn her, and so they realize, you know, the bots are accessing previous memories and able to put them together, and they're acting on them, and oh, that wasn't supposed to happen, and this is a real problem. But Ford is, like, eerily calm the whole time. He's like, he doesn't see this as a problem at all. He's not freaked out at all. Like, he seems very much like the architect or the mastermind of, you know, the puppet master, and he's playing on a whole different level from everybody else, so he just doesn't care that they're freaking out or that the bot's malfunctioning. He's checking it out to see how far this goes, and, you know, he seems almost impressed with this. And then the dad bot goes on to this weird, like, threatening-y speech and seems to be aware of who Ford is and the world is, and that he's not real, and I will wreak havoc on you for what you've done to us. And I wonder for a minute if part of, because British guy is not in this room at this point, and I wonder if part of his bad guy speech is what the dad is saying, but apparently not, because Ford, after they shut him down, Ford figures it out that the reveries are making them access not just the past memories that seemingly he wanted them to, like, again, how they would access the past memories without that interfering with the current cycle makes no goddamn sense unless you programmed false memories for them to act on as part of their core programming, which nobody says was done. So again, the question of them having memories, and why does nobody call Ford out on this? Like, this just really seems off somehow. But they can fix it, and Ford says, you know, the speech that he gave, the threatening speech, well, before this guy was Dolores' dad, he was the sheriff for a while, and before that, he was like he was in some murder mystery, completely different non-Western thing, where he was this crazy cult leader who liked to quote Shakespeare and other famous people, and that's where the speech came from. So they put it down to, like, okay, it's faulty programming, but it's damaged at its core now. It's not even holding its core program well enough to function. So the dad bot and one other are sent off to the basement, the sub-basement, and head programmer guy, who I haven't mentioned at all, because he's just kind of there. You know, he's just kind of there. He's cool, but he's just kind of there. He apparently has not been around very much, because people keep telling him, like, oh, before you were here, this was the thing, or before you were here, this. So he's only been there about 10 years, and he is, like, obsessed with, he likes the little details. He likes the finger. He wants to record the boss lady's eyebrow to mimic her facial expression onto one of the bots to make them seem more human. So it's like him and Ford have some things in common. But as they're putting the dad bot and the other bot in the sub-basement of abandonment, he whispers something to the dad bot, and then the dad bot starts to cry. And what I want to know is, why are the dad bot and the other bot left active, I guess, in the sub basement? I mean, are they just supposed to like well, consciously stand there, it just forever? I mean, do they get to like their mark and then they turn themselves off? Um, I just need a little explanation for that. So then we see where the narrative has been coming from the whole time, from the beginning. Dolores sitting there naked after she's been pulled from the program, and the guy talking to her, we finally see who that is, and he's asking her questions about her core programming and what she knows of the world, what's real, what did the picture look like to her, and he says a few things to the other tech, that Dolores is the, not one of, the oldest bot in the park. But she's unique because she's been repaired so much, she's practically like brand new. So she doesn't malfunction like the old-timey Western guy that we saw. This brings up several questions. For one, why? We see that older bots are retired, they're replaced with newer models. So why does she keep getting rebuilt and put back in? Why is she so special? Again, she's Belle in the blue dress. Why is she so special? I wonder if we're going to find out, like, she's modeled to look / act exactly like the tragically lost wife or daughter of either Ford or Black Hat guy, because those two definitely are connected. Of course they are. They have to know each other, or I wonder if Black Hat guy is like co-founder of the park or something. But him and Ford have a history for sure, I think. I'm sure, but I think, no, I really am sure they have something, like they're I don't know, they're against each other somehow. I think that relationship's going to get really complicated. But for now, Dolores is, reprogrammed, the upgrade is taken off, and the guy confirms her core programming, the most basic principle in Westworld, that the bots, or I guess they call them the hosts, which that seems odd. Do they mean host like welcome to our restaurant, here you have a menu and sit down, like that kind of host? Or do they mean host like like a host carrying a parasite or something would be the other version, the creepy version. So yeah, I think that's why I don't really remember that term, because it doesn't make any sense yet. I'm sure it'll get a really creepy explanation. This is the show of like secretly creepy, I can tell. And the one thing he confirms, the most basic thing, is that Dolores, as a bot, host, whatever, she can't hurt an actual living thing. She can't hurt a guest, because of course that's the most important thing here. And she of course says she would never harm a living person. I also note previously, she only tells him part of what her father whispered to her. She tells him like 2 lines, but then her father clearly said a lot more, and then the programmer guy immediately says, "Have you ever lied to us?" And she says no, and you just know she is lying. She's lying right there. And she's lying when she says she'd never harm a living thing, because as she's back on her porch, and there's a different bot playing her father now, the fly once again returns, this fly that you've been seeing throughout the show. It lands on her neck, and yeah, she kills it. So, dun dun dun. So let's see what happens when Black Hat guy comes back now. I hope she blows him away, but we've already seen, hero guy shot him several times. That's the other thing. I have to know, how does that work? Because when hero guy, Teddy, the very first night that we see them, when Teddy rides up and he shoots the bad guys, so the host can shoot other hosts and it works, but then he turns the same gun on Black Hat guy. So why doesn't, and the guy says, you can't hurt me because I'm real, you're destined to fail. Well, how do they make that work though? How do they make that work? I need an explanation. So I'm definitely going to be watching more. This video is way longer than I ever intended, but hey, it's a premiere episode to a new show, deal with it. There will be more of these up when I get around to episode 2, which will hopefully be in the next couple of days. Do I have any predictions? Like I said, Black Hat guy and Ford definitely have a history. Slasher working against each other. Ford is up to something. management is up to something. Dolores is, malfunctioning and nobody knows. I'm curious to see what happens with her. And I think the various, if they have like new guests every week as like, guest actors of the week that do little things in the episodes just to keep it interesting and have comedy relief moments, like the guy posing with the two dead bodies. That was funny. I hope they keep that as a theme just to keep it light a bit, because it seems like this is a show that could get very dark very quickly. But it does look interesting. It's definitely something I'm going to watch more of. Leave me your thoughts in the comments. No spoilers, please. I'm watching this one at a time and putting them up I'm putting these up as I'm recording. Ugh. I'm watching these one at a time and putting these up, and putting these recordings up, before watching the next one, so no spoilers, please. But for now, those are my first thoughts on Westworld Season 1, Episode 1, and I am InsaneLayne. Bye-bye.